The word cinematic is thrown around constantly, but what does it really mean? And more importantly, how do you actually make something cinematic? In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 quick and effective ways to elevate your videos with that cinematic flair. Whether you're a seasoned filmmaker or you're just starting out, these tips will help you transform your footage into something truly spectacular. Adding atmosphere to your scene can provide more depth to your shots as it adds texture to the air. It also lets you create these really cool light streaks so you can actually see the path of the light in your shot. There are a few ways we can create atmosphere in our shots. The first is haze in a can. This is something that you get off Amazon. They're pretty inexpensive and I have used them before and they do the job. My only gripe with them is that they don't last very long, and I've heard other people complain about how they leave this weird residue on your cameras or whatever objects that you're spraying the stuff around. I've never had that issue personally, but I just don't think it lasts very long, and if you're using it for a larger room, well, you'll probably need quite a few cans. Now there's an even more budget-friendly route you can go, and that is using incense. Incense does the job. It creates a good amount of smoke, and if you're in a small room, this will definitely work really well. I kind of struggled here because in my living room, it's kind of a living room kitchen combo, and it wasn't enough to fill the room, even though I used an entire packet. Now this entire box of incense cost me £4, so I don't really mind that I have to use an entire packet, but I didn't get the look I wanted because of how the smoke would dissipate. It was going straight up and then just kind of disappearing, whereas really what I want is it to fill the room, or at least fill the space that I'm getting my shot in. Now the next step up is these larger fog or haze machines. Now these range in price depending on which one specifically you get, and the fog will work for fog purposes, but they don't actually work for what we're trying to do here, which is create a haze to allow us to still kind of see what's going on, because fog's pretty thick, but also to add texture to the air so that we can capture these rays of light. So you have to spend a bit more money on the larger haze machines, which they're bigger, a bit clunky. I've owned one in the past and I managed to get one used, so if you are going down this route, I'd recommend looking at the used market, and they create the look that we want that you can see here. My ultimate favorite way to create atmosphere in a shot is actually using a portable handheld haze machine. This shot I showed you just a second ago actually wasn't made with a larger haze machine. It was made with this portable haze machine. This is a portable fog / haze machine sent to me by Telesin. When they reached out asking if I wanted to work with them and I browsed through their stuff, I was like, hey, that's a cool product, and yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it because I've seen a bunch of these kinds of products all over Instagram. A lot of companies make them now, and I think they're really, really cool because they allow you to create a good quality haze for your scene regardless of the room size that you're in. This fog machine comes with its own liquid, has different attachments, and lets you create different types of fog. It ranges in intensity from steam, fog, and dry ice, and a free mode, which I think is like just really thin fog, I'm not sure. Having different intensities lets me create specific looks that I'm going for. And for only $130, it's a pretty great deal to be able to create quality fog and haze that actually lasts in a room. We had to open our balcony door for like a good 30 minutes to dissipate the air, and it set off my smoke alarm like 3 times. Whichever item you go with, adding atmosphere to your shots is a great way to elevate your shots cinematically. POV shots. POV shots offer a unique perspective that can surprise your audience. For example, opening a bag but showing it from the bag's point of view, or showing our subject going for a drive but having the camera actually attached to the car. This offers a much more unique perspective than only having the camera on a tripod and the subject getting into their car. To do these car shots, I'm using a newer suction cup which cost me $50 on Amazon. I've used this setup for all my car mount shots this year and it's held up great. If you can, get 2 because more points of attachment with the car are better for your camera's safety. I've actually also used these suction cup mounts for my Insta360 X4 car mount, also from Newer, to support my S9 when I mount it to the car. Even though they're much smaller because they're made for a smaller camera, they do a good job at being an additional support point. There's a whole lot more to go through with POV shots, and I've actually made an entire dedicated video to capturing cinematic POV shots, which you can watch at the end of this video. Smooth shots. Typically we'd use a gimbal to capture smooth shots, but there's actually some very budget-friendly ways, or actually free ways, to get smooth shots for your videos as well. The first method is using an office chair and holding your camera steady. Giving yourself one big push, this allows you to have a smooth shot. This does obviously offer you less control because whichever direction you push yourself in, if you start to spin or you go the wrong way that you intended to, you don't have as much control over that. And if you chose to instead continuously push yourself by going one leg after the other, this would give you a bit more of a shaky shot compared to just one big push, but it's still a free method you can use. Another way you can get a smooth moving shot is by using a suitcase, or if you're going for a slider type of shot, you can just pull your camera on a piece of cloth or towel. Of course, the best way to get smooth shots is by using a gimbal, and I have a bunch of gimbals recommended in the description below if you're interested in checking those out. Plexiglass. Plexiglass is a really cool tool to use, and this tip is basically similar to the POV shots thing, but it's just a cool aspect of it. Because where plexiglass comes in is protecting your camera from the elements. The best way I can show this is with water. In this shot where I'm washing my hands, washing a plate, filling up a glass with water, you wouldn't be able to capture these shots unless you had something protecting your camera, because then it's going to get wet and ruined. You could also use a waterproof housing, but these range from like $100 or so to several hundreds to maybe even $1,000 depending on your camera setup. And these can limit you to what lenses you can use. Whereas plexiglass, it's only $10 and it doesn't limit you to what camera and lenses you can use. One immediate way to capture your viewers' attention is to throw a shot in your video that makes them go, how do they do that? You can see in this setup here that I have my camera arranged in a way that will keep it dry, and whilst it's not perfect, it does the trick. Plexiglass is really cheap, like I said, but if you actually have any old picture frames lying around that you're not using, you can take the plexiglass out of those, and depending on the size, you could have something that's usable. Macro shots. Extreme close-up macro shots are an awesome way to show details that are hard to see with the human eye. Because we don't see these extreme details on the day-to-day, it's interesting to see them blown up on a screen. But macro lenses are typically very expensive and often only serve one purpose, being a macro lens. And it's for this reason I actually don't own a macro lens. Instead, I went and bought these $20 diopters from Amazon. You get a kit of 4 with varying strengths, and they allow you to get amazing super close-up macro shots like these. Inserting a fair few super close-up macro shots into your videos is a great way to add some cinematic flair to your scenes. There are way too many cinematic tips and tricks to go through for one video, so I'm gonna have to save some more for another video, but for now, why don't you check out this cinematic POV shots video I made, and you can watch me drop my S9 off of an electric longboard, of course by accident. It's okay, but yeah, I may have scuffed it a little bit. Whoops.